Greetings, Kindred, and welcome to the LionsGate portal. So I'm recording this actually in the morning on the 7th of August. I tried to do it yesterday, but we had a few birthday parties going on around here. And they went on pretty late. So I did try and record this last night, but yeah, it was a little bit too noisy. So I thought, let me wait until this morning. But anyway, I've been looking at several charts because the LionsGate is actually fully open between the 8th and 12th of August. And I feel by the 13th, it's completely closed. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, the 8-8 energy is actually the energy of the white lion. Now, the white lion really, in its wholeness, represents wisdom. And the LionsGate portal is a time of ascension. It is the time where we can get stirrings with the Kundalini energy. So it's definitely about the masculine and the feminine, the sun and the moon. And, you know, I know most people think that on the 8-8 portal that the sun actually rises in Leo, when in actual fact it rises in the sign of Cancer. So for the first 3 days, like here in well, I wouldn't say the Western world, because in the USA, the sun rises in Leo on the 10th of August. But here in the UK now and in the Far East, the sun rises in Leo on the 11th. So yeah, it's all to do with time zone, really. But for anyone born before the year 2000, you know, the sun would have rose in Leo on the 10th of August, probably more globally. But after the year 2000, the sun would have risen in Leo on the 11th, like in the UK, really, the GMT time zone going towards the east, whereas the west, like the USA, the sun still rises on the 10th, but probably mid to late evening. So that's the same thing really with the Gemini sun sign, you know, and I spoke about that a couple of podcasts ago. So just to clarify that, and now it makes sense really that on the 8-8 the sun rises in Cancer. And the reason why I say that is because the sun rules Leo and the moon actually rules the sign of Cancer. So when the sun rises on the 8-8 in Cancer, I mean, Cancer's all about wisdom in this sign's maturity. When it's immature, it's very needy, very dependent, and more codependent, I should say. But in its maturity, it's a sign of great wisdom. So it would make sense that the sun, the Leo sun, would rise in the sign of Cancer on the 8th of August. I mean, we all know Leo is about the heart. And this LionsGate portal is all about the heart chakra. It's where the heart chakra expands. And, you know, that's what stirs the Kundalini. So, but Leo's more about ego and you know, trying to be kind of more in touch with their true feelings rather than just wear their heart on their sleeve. So, you know, Leo is all about the heart, but we're getting to the regular sun conjunction in a while because I've got a few charts just to flip through. But just off the cuff, straight off, I just want to say, right, definitely Epsom salt baths, you know. I've been doing Epsom salt baths actually with what's it, eucalyptus for a cleansing of the head as well. Because I feel our heads need to be cleared as well as kind of like auras, you know. And I feel we've all been in this funny place actually since the new moon. It's like we've all been kind of feeling like we're in this slow motion while the world is just like speeding up all around us. And funny enough, I was just saying to my daughter the other day, I've been getting these moments where, you know, when you get that feeling and a feeling, and then you kind of relate it to the past when you had that feeling. And it's not been negative feelings, it's been really positive times in my life. But all of a sudden, it's like a deja vu. I get this feeling come over me. And it's almost like I'm in that time again, you know, when things were really bright and wonderful in my life. I'm not saying they're not now, but it's kind of different now. And yes, I don't know if any of you have been going through that as well, but I definitely feel that might be the Saturn retrograde that's bringing that up, you know, times in the past where we were at or feeling at our best. Do you know what I mean? So definitely Epsom salt baths. I feel like we're definitely going to need to get into some breathing techniques because the energy is going to really hype up throughout this LionsGate portal. And it's a very kind of, yeah, well, I'm just going to be real, really. It's going to be a very aggressive and frustrating energy because, you know, with the sun in opposition to Saturn here, and Saturn's in much, it's going to be really frustrating. But, you know, I mean, 17, the sun is at 17. I found this quite interesting as well. The sun in the GMT time zone, I mean, anywhere in the world, the sun will be at 17 degrees in Cancer. But later on in the evening, he will change to 18 degrees. So I'm doing this at midday when the sun is at its highest peak. But also the moon is at 17 degrees in Ophiuchus. I found that really interesting. Now, 17 is a pretty good number, actually. It's a very spiritual number. And like the white line, it's like eternal life, immortality, you know. And it's not just about human, it's like life in all its forms. And it's all about truth, hope, faith, you know, charity, and about our principles that are traditional. So it's our spiritual principles, and they will always be the same, to be honest, you know. And it's also the number of illumination and gives us great understanding of life, a great understanding of science and destiny. And, you know, the star sign of Gemini actually is associated with this number. So it's all about intellectual and intuitive reasoning. So that's, you know, that's the one thing Gemini energy needs to grow into when it comes to his maturity, is growing into trusting his intuition and not being too much in his head. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, this is definitely, I mean, I did say at the New Moon podcast that I feel this Lionsgate in 2022 is going to be very, very important. And I hadn't even looked at the charts at that point. But just seeing the moon in Ophiuchus alone, you know, just makes me know that this is all about Kundalini and ascension. So, you know, definitely spiritual practices where we're cleansing our aura, where we're keeping ourselves calm, deep breathing techniques, meditation. I mean, if you're watching this on YouTube, I will put all the links below to some healing techniques. You might hear some binaural beats I'm playing in the background at the moment. It's on really low. I'm not sure if you can hear them. But even I woke up this morning and I've just been playing some binaural beats, but this is more about DNA healing. So I think it's a 10.8 frequency, something like that. I can't really see right now. But yeah, I highly recommend that because, like, you know, the world is in chaos right now. You know, the energies are very much felt, even if we ourselves are in a good place. And I just feel that, you know, there's things erupting through this LionsGate portal as well, either physically or emotionally. There's going to be a lot of eruption, a lot of realization. Like I say, the Kundalini awakening is, you know, it's very powerful, but it's like can be a very dark energy. It's a dark night of the soul. And that energy can be very dark initially until we break through into the light. And that's when we start getting showered with all this spiritual, beautiful spiritual energy. So it's just pushing through those barriers. But, you know, and also I would say with Kundalini energy, like with the moon in Ophiuchus, the Kundalini energy is very you know, like they say, there's a thin line between intuition and emotion. You know, sometimes we feel our emotions are our intuition, or we can mistake our emotions to be our intuition. There's a thin line there, but there's also a thin line between the spiritual Kundalini and our sexual activity. So, you know, some of us can mistake that passion that we feel with the Kundalini energy. They can mistake it and, you know, mistake it in the sense that they can put that energy into a relationship, like by believing someone's their soulmate or someone's their twin flame. And it's a mistaken energy. Do you know what I mean? It can lead to a lot of disappointment. And the reason why I'm saying that is because the moon is in quincunx to Venus, who's in Gemini. So Venus in Gemini, I mean, the Gemini energy, like all the air signs, can be very detached from their emotions and their instincts. But, you know, at 25 degrees, which adds up to 7, you know, Venus is feeling all this spiritual energy, but could be mistaking it for a relationship rather than a spiritual kind of experience. Do you know what I mean? For the self, because when we go through these kundalinis, it's really about the balancing of the masculine and feminine within ourselves, not with another person. It's that inner connection, it's that self-love. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, for those of us that have already been through that energy and have grown to understand it, and there hasn't been a lot of information out about this energy and what it truly represents. So a lot of people have been in the dark and have been kind of like a little bit kind of confused about it. But, you know, this Kundalini ascension is about the unification of the masculine and energies within the self. And it don't matter how many times we've been through it, you know, the first time is always mind blowing, but after that, it can be quite subtle. And the reason why I'm saying people might mistake that is because we do have Venus in sextile to Mars, so there are opportunities there for soul unions. But, you know, the Aryan energy and the Geminian energy can be pretty fickle when it comes to relationships. And I don't mean that in a horrible way, because in their maturity, you know, they are very particular. They need to feel ready in themselves to actually settle down in a relationship. And even though they're very impulsive and can jump into relationships very quickly, they are normally very short-lived. You know, the quicker someone comes into your life is the quicker they leave. But the longer it takes for someone to come into your life is the longer they stay. I mean, that's what I was taught at a very young age. Do you know what I mean? So we have to be careful that we're not just jumping into situations through impulse and believing, you know, that we've met our life partner, because, you know, that that kind of situation takes time to grow, where we need to learn each other on all different levels. Do you know what I mean? So, because we've got Venus in opposition to Pluto, this is where I see the disappointments. And to be honest, any relationships that are in existence at the moment, if it hasn't been an authentic, open relationship, and I don't mean open where one person does one thing and the other person does another. I'm talking about open when it comes to communication, when it comes to flowing with each other, and not to say that there isn't disagreements in relationships, there are, but sometimes we have to learn to agree to disagree. Do you know what I mean? We are all entitled to our opinions, our own minds. We should never feel that our partner should be the same or think the same. And we should respect that. But you do find in relationships sometimes, one person kind of like holds judgment on the other for not thinking the same or being the same or feeling the same. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, if there's any cracks in the relationships, they're really going to surface at the moment. So there can be relationship breakdowns through this LionsGate portal. And, I'm speaking on kind of like an individual level, but this can also be global relationships as well, where there's a big breakdown and we're actually seeing things really heat up in the world globally, with relationships between countries. Do you know what I mean? It really is going to reach the peak, or it's reaching its peak, through this LionsGate portal. And we just must not get caught up in that. We must concentrate on our own well-being right now, and think about our future a little bit. I mean, right now things may seem a little bit dark, from what we're hearing or what we're even experiencing, because a lot of people are kind of going through a lot of stress right now when it comes to mortgages and businesses. And we need to be mindful of that as well. So you remember, for quite some time, those of you that have been following me for a while, I've been speaking about this T-square here against Saturn, and there's been a lot going on in our political movements. And at the new moon, this T-square turned into a grand cross, and the grand cross is still ongoing. And this is a really hyped up energy. This is where I see the frustration and the aggression, and with the sun in opposition to Saturn, it's like a very blocked energy. Number 22, we need to overcome self-limitation to reach the heights of consciousness, to express ourselves. And the sun at 17 degrees in the sign of wisdom on the 8-8 portal is showing us that we're breaking out of our comfort zones. We will be expressing ourselves, we will be speaking up, but we need to be careful of how we're doing that, because with Mercury at 18 degrees in Leo, in opposition to the goddess Vesta, who's now at 5 degrees in Aquarius, that's all about mind expansion, getting more in touch with our humanitarian passions rather than just our own recognition. Do you know what I mean? And the number 18 is a difficult number. It is the material versus the spiritual. And it can be a very deceptive number, where we can be deceived and, through people that we feel are close to us. Do you know what I mean? So it can also be like, it can also trigger fears of not knowing, of the unknown, I should say. So, there's a very shifting energy going on with the Leonian energy, and I feel this is the wisdom we need to get into, that we mustn't be afraid to be in our self-power and express ourselves authentically. Although the black moon right now is in the sign of Cancer, but that's all about codependency. She brings up issues around codependency and issues around trust, or maybe trusting the wrong people. And, the black moon is in opposition to Pluto. And this is a very, very disruptive and destructive energy when the black moon is in opposition to Pluto. Because Pluto and the black moon live in mythology were husband and wife. But it was a very dark and it's a relationship really. It's created a lot of karma in our world. And it's an energy of resentment, and like when two people are going through a divorce and it gets really, really nasty. Well, that is Pluto and the black moon Lilith. So fortunately, it's not part of the T-square. Although in the UK they are forming a T-square towards the ascendant. So things in the UK can kind of like seem a little bit dark right now. And I think we're getting too much into, the nickety-pickety side of life. When really, we need to really, through this LionsGate portal, I would recommend that we concentrate on our own inner spiritual strength. We prepare ourselves for whatever it is we're seeing, to incorporate that. I mean, the moon in Ophiuchus is very, very spiritual, but Ophiuchus's element is ether. So sometimes lines can be blurred, like with the Piscean energy, lines can be blurred, but the Piscean energies, the lines are blurred through like deep waters, which can get a little bit muggy. But the ether energy is more gaseous, it's more like gas, it's more ether. Things can become distorted. And, ether can actually make us feel a bit woozy as well. Do you know what I mean? So we may be feeling a little bit woozy in our heads. Do you know what I mean? Or we may either, maybe taking substances that are making us feel a bit woozy. Again, the number 22, we need to overcome self-limitation, especially in Taurus. Now, I've said this many a time, Taurus normally only believes what he sees. So he really needs to get more in touch with his instincts and overcome self-limitation in that I only believe what I see. Or snap out of that, I need comfort. So I'm going to turn to food and other substances to give me that sense of comfort. But Palace will bring in the recognition of that. But at first it will be, a little bit kind of to-ing and throwing, if you like. But they are forming a T-square as well towards Neptune and the goddess Juno. So, some of us need to be careful that we're not just building castles in the sky, or we're not just relying wholly on faith. We need to put in the work. Even when it comes to our spiritual practices, we can't just sit there and say, right, well, I'm of this religion or I'm of that religion. You can't say I'm of a religion if you're just sitting there and you're not really practicing the religion. So really, in a way, I feel this is more about practicing what we preach and not just like fantasizing it, or just getting, or even just getting too much in our heads, to be honest, with the Taurian energy. But again, I just feel that you know, the number 3 is the number of expansion, and you know, Neptune is in retrograde, which is all about, you know, when the planets go into retrograde, it becomes an inner thing, you know, an inner review or review of the past. But at number 3, it's like Neptune is expanding that creative visualization. And I think for any artist or craftsman, that can be a really beautiful energy and very productive, as long as we can get past that block or any inhibitions we might have, you know, because like, or it could be that we're so busy trying to organize our lives around the chaos. So, you know, it takes us away from our creativity or our crafting. So I do see, you know, a lot of disruption here, but I feel like the disruption will bring things to light that will need to be healed, that either need to be healed or need to be let go of. You know, I do see a lot going on politically as well. And, you know, maybe that's where people come together as well, because like, you know, we do have the sun in sextile to the goddess Pallas. And, you know, we do also have the sun in trine to Chiron. And we also have the sun in trine to Jupiter. Now, these are beautiful energies. You know, this is about the inner warrior that's ready to take up the sword of truth, to find that sense of purpose with morals, principles. And, you know, we mustn't be afraid to express that individuality. We mustn't be afraid to express our uniqueness in any form or way. Some of us are good with words. Some of us are good with, you know, our voice singing or creating music or creating poetry. You know, I feel this is more about expressing like the verbal energy. I feel like, or art in picture form, it's like we may be getting a lot of downloads right now, a lot of downloads that are, it's very creative, or even it could be about strategy. We're coming up with strategies. And I really do feel with this going on, this grand cross, that there will be people to back that, you know? So that's the 8-8 portal. I'm just going to flip through the rest of the charts because there's not much difference, to be honest. So on the 9th, it's just to really show you the charts and that you have. So this is the 9th, the day after the 8-8. Now remember, it's like 5 days the portal is open for. So you can see the sun's moved to 18 degrees now. Now the number 18 can be a little bit difficult, you know. So I feel like the day after the LionsGate portal, I think, you know, things can kind of definitely heat up a bit. You know, I feel that whatever comes out at the Lionsgate, it's still going to continue through the 9th, you know what I mean? And most of the aspects are still the same, except for the moon will now be at 13 degrees in Sagittarius. So while the moon was in Ophiuchus on the 8-8, we were very much in our spiritual energy, more in that ethereal kind of sense, do you know what I mean? Sense of being. But when the moon moves into Sagittarius at 13, this is like where we're going to start getting our emotional energy back. And we still have this grand cross going on. And, you know, mostly all the aspects are the same, but we do have Mercury in quincunx to Jupiter. So maybe we can like make mountains out of molehills with this energy. So I think whatever problems have arisen on the 8-8 portal, maybe we can take them a little bit out of context or exaggerate them. Or maybe it's world events that are being exaggerated right now. But, you know, we need to just watch out for that, because I just feel that, you know, there can be disappointments there. But again, you know, it's like this twin flame energy. We can, because Jupiter in Pisces is very, very spiritual. And in retrograde, it's all about, you know, the inner being sort of thing. So, you know, Mercury will be going into shadow this month. I didn't actually look at that because there's just so much with this LionsGate portal. I will actually do a separate podcast about Mercury going into pre-shadow. And I think it goes retrograde around about end of August, beginning of September. I can't remember. I will have to check that out. But I know in August he will start his pre-shadow. So, you know, we need to be careful of like not over exaggerating our situations, or things around the world might be hyped up. Do you know what I mean? And just be aware of that it can be based on exaggeration. But we do have here like Venus in opposition to Pluto. So again, you know, this can be like disappointments when it comes to relationships. And like I said, you know, we must be careful that we're not jumping into situations and making assumptions about those situations. So really we need to stay in our spiritual strength, do you know what I mean? And I just feel that just be careful, just like really concentrate on your emotional well-being, your emotional and spiritual health right now. And I don't feel this is the time to break out into anything in particular. I think this is definitely a time for us to gather our strength of will, our strength in our spirituality. Definitely, like I said, continue throughout this LionsGate portal to, you know, binaural beats, Epsom salt baths, maybe not every day, but maybe every other day. I mean, really follow your own instincts. That's the most important thing. Try and calm your emotions so you can fully tune into your instincts and your intuition. Because I feel if you're not doing that at this particular LionsGate in 2022, I think it's a waste of beautiful energy that's coming in. Because this energy is powerful, and we can really do a lot of manifestation, especially with Neptune at 3 degrees. I mean, we can manifest so much goodness into our lives if we make use of this energy in a positive way. You know, so even regardless if we're caught up in movements, you know, if we're going through the justice system, or, you know, if we're going through, or we're seeking justice in any sense of the word, we can kind of do that in our wisdom. We don't need to be aggressive or forceful. And let's not get into these power struggles in our relationships. You know, it does hurt when a relationship breaks down, but do you really want to be with someone that doesn't want to be with you? Because I know I personally wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? And I think, you know, we need to respect ourselves and learn to be independent, learn to be spiritually and emotionally independent, and then we will attract the right person to us. So that's what I need to say about the 9-8. So, you know, sometimes it could be just the energies are just so intense, like there's no way with all that's going on in the world, it's not going to affect us. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes relationships, we can get into that bickering, take time away from each other, give each other space, because I feel this energy is so powerful, it can actually become quite overwhelming. And sometimes we may feel like we need space, but the other person in our lives may not understand that, you know. So yeah, just maybe explain it in a little bit of a better way. Okay, so now we're on the 10-8. Now, again, the sun has moved to 19 degrees. And the moon is still in Sagittarius, actually, but is now in conjunction with Pluto. And this is like, wow. Now, again, the aspects are more or less all the same, except for this conjunction here. And then in opposition to the Black Moon Lilith. So I see by the 10th, by the 10-8, that yeah, it's going to be pretty major. The energies are going to be fuel. The only good thing I would say about this is the Black Moon Lilith in conjunction to Venus can very much balance out the energies, and they're very close actually. They're kind of 1 degree in between them. So Venus would have just entered into Cancer, and the Black Moon Lilith is in 1 degree in Cancer in conjunction. Now, you know, this is again recognizing that we can become emotionally codependent on another person. And I feel with that is going to be the major issue in relationships. You know, so in opposition to Pluto and the moon, it's like, yeah, it's like all of a sudden we might see relationships that have been together for quite some time, just all of a sudden just breaking down. And I find this every LionsGate portal, this energy exists in some form or way. And it's normally quite shocking, do you know what I mean? But this is definitely a breakdown in relationships. It's like very demoralizing, and or it can be very demoralizing. It can be very like things can come out, things that we weren't aware of. Do you know what I mean? So it's like truths are being revealed, and you know, maybe there is interference going on, but whatever this energy is, it's definitely an energy that does need to come apart, or it's an energy that does need to be let go of. I'm seeing it where it's very destructive. Don't get me wrong, it's very destructive, but the aim is to bring in wisdom. The aim is to bring in balance and wisdom to any individuals that are caught up in this. Do you know what I mean? So even on a global level, it could be on the 10th of August where we really do see things like reaching that peak. You know, the good thing is, though, Mars is moving further away from Uranus and the North Nodes, and now he's been in conjunction with them for, wow, I think since just before the new moon. And he's now moved to 0 degrees in Taurus. So he will slow down a bit now. But Uranus in Aries is still quite fast paced, and Uranus will be in Aries until 2024. So, you know, very, very intense times. And again, like I said, don't waste this LionsGate portal energy on getting caught up in dramas. Do you know what I mean? Because it's a very dramatic time for some people. And, you know, we must be a listening ear. But also what I was feeling all through this LionsGate portal was like, all the healers out there, it's time to shine your light. And, you know, even for people that aren't in that healing energy, I feel like there's a lot of people coming into that. You know, there are inventions being made out there, like healing inventions, and a lot more people are getting involved in like alternative healing practices. And, you know, and I feel these are going to be very much needed from here onwards. So, you know, if you're in pain, whether it be emotionally or physically, you know, I would say definitely seek alternative therapies, but do your research first. Do you know what I mean? Because I do feel that there is still truths coming to the surface. You know, I do feel that the LionsGate portal itself, it's all about the DNA and repairing the DNA and bringing the masculine and feminine energies into oneness. You know, Ophiuchus does represent medicine, healing with herbs or energy healing. You know, so there is a lot being exposed on a global level. And, you know, we just need to watch out for that as well. So what else is going? Yeah, so this energy with the black moon, Venus, and the moon, Pluto, I mean, it's just, wow. You know, it's like we could wake up one day and our partner's just gone, you know, or we can just wake up one day and, yeah, things are just different. So I would just say, watch out for that energy and, you know, just try and be in your highest and best when it comes to wisdom. So let's go to the 11:8. I'm trying to get through these a little bit more quicker. So late in the evening on the 10:8, the sun will move into Leo in the USA, but here in the UK, at the LionsGate, the sun, it's not 12 p.m, the sun moves into Leo. It'll be a little bit before that, but this is the peak of the sun when the sun reaches its peak in our skies. So this is also my son's birthday. Right, so the moon will be in Capricorn. I mean, thankfully, I mean, Pluto is still in opposition to the Black Moon Lilith, who's now moved back to Gemini. So she's gone back into her head. Is she being real with herself? Maybe she's coming to terms with the fact that she's made mistakes, that, you know, whatever it was wasn't authentic, it wasn't real. And, you know, as the sun rises in Leo, this is now time to really, you know, heal the ego. Do you know what I mean? We've got a lot of quincunxes going on the 11th as well. So, you know, this is really trying to get in touch, you know, a lot of misunderstandings actually. So we can see here Neptune was retrograded back to 2 degrees, and Juno, the goddess Juno, is at 22 degrees in Aquarius now. Now this is beautiful. And, you know, Juno's all about loyalty. She's all about commitment. And she is in opposition to Mercury, 23 degrees in Leo. I just feel now that this is powerful. This is a powerful day for enlightenment, for a shift in the way we think. Yeah, so I just feel that this opposition here is really opening up and expanding our minds, you know, when it comes to our spirituality and our traditional values, you know. But Juno's got to break free of this, you know, I've got to be in a relationship sort of attitude, or, you know, I'm in a relationship that's abusive and I can't get out of it. I mean, that is normally Juno's energy. So at 22, again, overcoming self-limitation to break free. And I feel that people are breaking free mentally in Leo. And Leo can be all about me, do you know what I mean? But maybe we need that sometimes. Maybe we need that energy of, I need to concentrate on myself, you know. I mean, they are forming a T-square towards Pallas at 24 degrees. So there's 6 energy here, there's a 6 energy here. So again, I feel that it's a very, to me, 6 energy is very supporting. It is very balancing of the masculine and feminine. So I do feel that as the sun rises in Leo on the 11th of the 8th, you know, there's a lot of realizations coming in where, you know, we're recognizing that we don't need to be in anything that makes us unhappy, that we can break free of it, but it's down to us to make that move. And that we do have, you know, we may have to put in strategy, or we may have to strategize, or we may have to make a plan. You know, we need to be very smart about it. But at the same time, you know, we mustn't allow ourselves to be blocked and stay in a place of misery or unhappiness or abuse. Do you know what I mean? So the Grand Cross is still ongoing on the 11th as well. So I do feel, you know, a lot of abusive relationships are coming to the fore as well. But I'm seeing this very, very beautiful creative energy. So for artists and stuff like that, you know, it's going to be a really kind of powerful portal for manifestation and for creation. So on the last day of the LionsGate portal, the 12th of the 8th, we also have a full moon that takes place at 2:35 a.m. in the morning in the GMT time zone. Now, I didn't check out the other time zones like I normally do. So in the GMT time zone, it will be at 2:35. So you can go to the world clock and see what time the full moon will reach its peak in your time zone. And remember that at the moment, our clocks are kind of like an hour forward, an hour forward when it comes to the UTC, or the UTC is an hour behind. But our clocks will be going back again in October. So, right, here we are. So as the full moon reaches its peak in Cancer, he will be conjunct Saturn. So Saturn has been quite a major player through this Lionsgate portal, actually, at 22 degrees. And with the moon coming into conjunction, well, you know, in opposition to the sun, as the full moon always is, I just feel, yeah, again, there's this blocked energy. But I really do feel, because the Capricornian energy can very much be in their own self-power. Do you know what I mean? Very much into their kind of own families. And I feel that's pretty good. You know, there's a lot of good energy going on here. I feel this full moon can be powerfully healing. You know, we still have the black moon in conjunction to Venus, although they are separating now. And the balance is not really so much there. So again, with the black moon Lilith in Gemini, it really is again about, you know, bringing up issues around being authentic. But the energies really do calm down at the full moon, although, you know, it could be like everyone's just like a little bit taken aback. I feel this is a day, the full moon is definitely a day of rest. You know, if we're doing all our spiritual practices through the Lionsgate portal, then at the full moon, I would just say, you know, allow yourself to lay back and just daydream for the day if you can do that. I just feel that many of us will be looking at the past in some form or way to better times. I just feel many of us will be coming into our emotional maturity through the experiences we've had in our life, you know, recognizing our healing gifts, or healing our emotional wounds that we may have from the past. And with Saturn in sextile to Chiron here, you know, it makes us really capable of being able to do that, or even taking our own healing practices out into the world, you know. And with the moon in trine to the goddess Pallas, you know, this is like fantastic for people to actually get out there and, you know, bring their ideas into reality, or take their healing practices forwards, or whatever else it is. I feel at the full moon, there's a lot of like realization as the LionsGate door closes and the full moon reaches its peak. I just feel this is a wonderful day for like healing practices like binaural beats, meditation, and yeah, really more stuff like that. I would say all the cleansing stuff, do it leading up to the LionsGate portal, and for the first few days of the LionsGate portal, do clearing meditations. But throughout the LionsGate portal, I would recommend like listen to binaural beats with that do DNA repair, you know, because like the masculine and feminine and the Kundalini, it's all about an evolution of the DNA. Do you know what I mean? As the masculine and feminine come together, it is like an evolution process. So, you know, the full moon can be very healing, and, you know, we will feel a bit blocked emotionally, maybe because of what's revealed itself. So, you know, the Lionsgate portal is always a very kind of highly intense time. So like I said, you know, people think spiritual practices just flow and they're really beautiful and they just flow really nicely. But, you know, there's a lot of hard work involved in them. And sometimes we don't have control. You know, sometimes we just have to put our faith into the universe and hope for the best. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the time when these energies come in and they're so powerful, it's like things are just beyond our control. And we just need to learn to ride the waves. Do you know what I mean? So there is a lot going on in our world right now. And whether we're in a place of peace or not, the energies are still going to affect us. We're still going to feel them around us, or we're going to witness them in people around us. Do you know what I mean? We may see things that are kind of shocking or hear things that are kind of shocking. But, you know, it's all about the healing process and getting into our healing practices. Do you know what I mean? And helping others that are not in that energy of being able to heal themselves. So I just wanted to have a quick look at the 13th, the day after, and I've also looking at the chart for when the sun conjuncts Regulus. So on the 13th, the Lionsgate portal will close, and this is the day after. So we do have the sun in quincunx to Neptune. So, you know, some of us can get into that victim mentality and, you know, or we can be a little bit unrealistic about our situations. Do you know what I mean? So just be aware of that. And we've also got the moon in quincunx to the goddess Ceres. So, you know, I think maybe, you know, we need to balance out, because even though a lot of us are coming into our healing ability, or maybe we've been a listening ear for people throughout the Lionsgate portal, you know, we've really done our bit in being available for certain people around us, or maybe we're just drained with our own situations. Do you know what I mean? So I think, yeah, at the full moon, we definitely need to take time out for rest. And I would say the day after the full moon, I would recommend the same thing, you know, and because it will be on the 23rd of August when the sun actually comes into an exact conjunction with Regulus, that the heart chakra activation will be fully complete. But on the 13th, I mean, the number 13 is a spiritual number. It's really a rebirthing number. That's why I always include the 13th day of the LionsGate portal. Do you know what I mean? So between the 8th and the 12th, the portal's open. But I feel the 13th is important because it is the seal. It's like the seal to the LionsGate portal. And you know, there is like, you know, after the LionsGate portal closes, you know, when you're going through a Kundalini ascension or any kind of ascension, you know, you come out on top of the world and you really want to put yourself out there and, you know, put your healing abilities out there. You know, sometimes we want to be recognized for our artistic pursuits or our creativity, or, you know, sometimes we want that recognition, but the one thing to be aware of on the 13th is that we need to be in our spiritual energy rather than our egocentric energy. So I feel there's going to be energies around that, you know, there's this power and control. I still feel these power struggles going on, especially because we've got Pluto here in opposition to the Black Moon still, and Venus. The power struggles are actually playing out all the way through this LionsGate portal, and they are still there. And because we've got all these quincunxes and all these, look at all the red lines. Do you know what I mean? They're all oppositions and squares, and there's just so much going on there where it's clashing. It's clashing. And, you know, we really just need to be on a good path. Do you know what I mean? We need to humble ourselves, basically. And throughout all this LionsGate energy, even though there's a lot going on, even though we have opinions, even though we may be under a lot of stress, by the 13th, it is so important that we humble ourselves. Do you know what I mean? And the sun will move out with this grand cross, I should say. The sun will move out, but Venus will take its place. So let's look at that chart, actually. So this is Sun conjunct Regulus on the 28th of the 8th at 8 o'clock in the morning here in the GMT time zone. So there's that 8, that number 8 again. Right, so the moon will be at 14 degrees in Gemini. Now, the Black Moon Lilith will be conjunct the moon, but I can't show Regulus and the Black Moon together at the same time, unfortunately, right now. So I've done 2 chart wheels. And so the sun will be conjunct the Black Moon. Sorry, the moon will be conjunct the Black Moon. But look at Regulus and the sun at 11 degrees. Now, this is self-mastery. And this is the heart chakra being activated. You know, we go through the Kundalini ascension throughout the LionsGate portal. And then between the 13th and the 23rd, we're incorporating all those energies that have been coming in, where we're sorting out, you know, we're going through the healing process or the creative process. And then on the 23rd, the heart chakra activates and we're coming into self-mastery. You know, for those of us that are putting the work, and that's why I'm saying, do not waste this energy throughout the LionsGate portal. This 2022 LionsGate portal energy is very important. Now, I've been talking a lot about relationships that don't work, or relationships that are mistaken for twin flame, but don't get me wrong, because for those of us that are in our maturity, when it comes to our spiritual, you know, spiritual kind of practices or even creative, but for those of us that are emotionally mature, that don't have those issues around abandonment and stuff like that, it is highly possible that you know, soulmates. Well, I've always said 2022 is about soulmates coming together. So this LionsGate portal will be bringing soulmates together, or will be activating that energy, you know, especially with the 1111. Yeah. But, you know, it's not an energy that comes in quickly. You know, sometimes it does, it happens quickly, but then we break apart and we can be apart for years. Do you know what I mean? And then come back together later on. But, you know, we should never just assume that someone is our soulmate. We should wait for that to be revealed to us in an honest way. Do you know what I mean? And we have Venus in conjunction to Ceres at 15 degrees now. 15 can be quite an awkward number. I mean, to me, 15 is an energy of the reveal. I think we're really going to see where we're at when it comes to our global resources. And I feel like there's going to be some blame and shame coming in. I feel actually throughout this LionsGate portal, there's going to be a lot of reveals that are going to be pretty unsavory and a little bit much for us to get our heads around, you know what I mean? There can be a lot of natural disasters going on around this time as well, you know. We are going through, the Earth is going through a process right now, but so is the whole of the solar system, and it has been going on for years. So it's not just the Earth herself that's going through changes, it's the whole solar system. And yeah, I just want you to be aware of that. So, 23rd, heart chakra activation, incorporating all the ascension energies that's coming in. So Leo is the star sign that wears his heart on his sleeve and can be very playful. And that's what is lovable about the Leo energy, is that it's very playful and they're not oversensitive, you know, when they're in that mode. But sometimes, you know, they can be not in their authenticity when it comes to their true emotions. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes they can wear their heart on their sleeve a little bit too much. So I just feel like with this, it's mastery over that. We know when to express our emotions and when not to, and we know how to keep things light. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's really important. Now, the Sun and Regulus are in opposition to Saturn, who will be at 21 degrees retrograde in Capricorn, and the goddess Vesta, who would have retrograded back to 1 degree in Aquarius. So we're going back in time a little bit here, you know. So, you know, maybe we're doing a lot of reminiscing about the past. And, but we just need to make sure we don't get stuck there, you know. And with this T squared towards the North Node, Uranus and Mars, actually. So the Sun and Regulus are in square to Mars, in opposition to the goddess Vesta and Saturn. And it's like a double T square. So Mars in Taurus, it's about the ego and our materialistic values. You know, they've got to be more based on a spiritual path rather than a materialistic one. So it's more about resources that we need rather than resources that we just want. Do you know what I mean? And with the T square towards Uranus and the North Node, it's like, this is just a very shifting energy in our societies anyway. And, you know, but it is part of this grand cross. So we do tend to go around in, I would say circles, but repetitive cycles is probably more the right word to use. Do you know what I mean? So it's just a repetitive cycle at the moment that we're in, but we all need to get more into our spiritual, practical minds. rather than materialistic ones, because for a long time now we've all been living by that. I want the latest phone, I want the latest shoes, I want you know what I mean? It's like all that's really going to be breaking down. It's going to be, this is what I need, rather than this is what I want. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, but other than that, this is a really, really beautiful time to really get in touch with our healing and our ascension practices. And I'm going to leave it there. I think I've been on here long enough. And yeah, sending you all peace and much love. Take care.